What is happening in J Gaming Dude here, and this is actually a video that I've been waiting to make, but it seems like as time goes on, more and more gets developed in this sort of developing story. So let's talk about Xbox. It is no surprise that people are angry at Xbox right now, and the industry is completely disappointed, angry, tired. Name as many negative attributes as negative adjectives as you want. That is all coming from everyone towards Xbox, because it feels like Xbox does not know what they are doing. So effectively what's happened is Xbox bought the publisher Bethesda, known for games like Doom, Quake, I'm trying to think of more off the top of my head, Dishonored, The Evil Within, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, whatever have you, and 4 of those studios under that umbrella are being shut down and they had been acquired by Xbox a while ago for, again, about $8 billion, so to speak. So the studios that are being shut down at the moment are Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog Games, and Roundhouse Studios. Worth mentioning that during the internal email that Matt Booty had actually sent to the internal teams, he had actually called Alpha Dog Games, he called them Alpha Dog Studios instead in error, and called Roundhouse Studios Roundhouse Games instead. So he swapped the word games and studios around for Alpha Dog and Roundhouse, and so that kind of felt like, I feel like there was no real passion or care really put into that construction of that email. But yeah, worth pointing out that at the beginning of the year, Xbox had already laid off 2,000 employees, and to start completely shutting down 4 more studios kind of really doesn't help matters. Now, there are a few reasons why this is exceptionally huge for a few reasons. Arcane Austin made sense to shut down to some extent, even though that's kind of like not a great thing to say, but stick with me on this because of the failure of this game right here, Redfall. Redfall is actually a really, really bad game. It is a broken, buggy, unfinished mess that should never have been created, but it was greenlit alongside a bunch of multiplayer specific online requiring games, stuff like Fallout 76. If you remember the release of that game, that was an absolutely rubbish title that has improved over time, but is still a Bethesda game at its core. The thing about Redfall, though, is that it just should never have been greenlit from the very beginning, and they kind of hoped when Bethesda was bought by Xbox, the Xbox would come in and be like, cancel the game. It's not going to be worth it to release, a bad buggy game. But instead, they just left them to their own devices, and a failure was created in the process. And another notable thing to talk about is Tango Gameworks. This one is the one that hurts me. This is the studio this is the reason why I wanted to talk about all this Xbox mess, because I absolutely love their games. I have played all of their games. Evil Within, Evil Within 2, Ghostwire, and now the last game that they made, the critically acclaimed Hi-Fi Rush, which, let's put it this way, has been giving us a lot of, Xbox has given us a lot of mixed messaging regarding Hi-Fi Rush and Tango Gameworks, because Tango Gameworks has made really, really good games. It's just straight up, so that's shutting down. And then for Arcane Austin and Roundhouse Studios, at least some team members are joining either Bethesda teams or ZeniMax Online. Tango is just straight up gone. First and foremost, Xbox has been wanting to reach into the Japanese market a little bit more, because Xbox, again, is a massive failure in Japan. Now, with that being said though, Tango Gameworks is a Tokyo-based studio. So they have a studio in Japan that they owned, that is first party, that can make exclusive games for their platform, and yet it seems like it didn't do well enough that they had to port it to PS5, which they did do. So now the game is also on PS5, which is why I'm being able to play it. Otherwise, I would never have bought an Xbox for it. In saying that, it feels weird because they're trying to reach into the Japanese market. They've shut down the one Japanese studio that they have after making an exceptionally successful game that was successful in every form, so to speak. So, where is it? Here we go. Hi-Fi Rush. So this is a tweet by Aaron Greenberg, but Hi-Fi Rush was a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with the surprise release. Now, this tweet was made in April 22, 2023. Worth pointing out that the game was being lauded with accolades, with a lot of awards, such as, and I'm going to put this right here, because Hi-Fi Rush was actually a surprise release. It was part of last year, or 2023's Developer Direct, and it was at I think near the end of the show, something like that. They announced, oh, there's this game, Hi-Fi Rush, and it's out today. And you can play it now on Game Pass. Cool. Like, that seemed like it was really cool. And so what ended up happening was that it hit 3 million players very quickly. And during the 2023 and 2024 award season, the game went on to win a Game Award, a GDC award, and a BAFTA. So there's at least three awards from 3 different award ceremonies, so to speak. And yet, the day after they shut down all of these studios, Xbox studio leader described wanting small and prestigious games in a town hall with employees. So they did a town hall with employees in the Xbox gaming division. They said they wanted small prestigious games. They released one last year in the form of Hi-Fi Rush. They then closed down the studio the day before saying all of this, and keeping in mind that the game is incredibly popular, very good, and has a Metacritic of over 90. I think Metacritic is over 90. It's a very, very high Metacritic. It is in fact one of the highest Metacritic games that Xbox Game Studios even has, beyond Forza and Flight Simulator. This is a new IP. This is a new IP that they've created. I am scratching my head right now. I cannot begin to think why on earth they would do something like this. And I'm sure so there's this video from Kinda Funny Games that I watched pretty much last year about Redfall failing to be a good game, like the fact that its reviews were just absolutely rubbish, a lot of scrutiny around the Activision deal and things like that. We're gonna see Spencer's face or rather Phil's face. Just doesn't seem right to call him Phil anymore, because like he doesn't project, like he tries to project the sort of nice guy image, but there's a lot of things that, you know, like these guys just are doing that aren't all that good. So Phil is gonna have that sort of somber face out. There's a June presentation coming up that's going to have more games that are going to be releasing, and it does make me wonder, like, what the hell is going to be happening as well. It really does kind of make me concerned, especially since in a couple of weeks we are getting HellBlade, a Senua Saga HellBlade 2, which is coming out. I'm recording this on the 11th of May, coming out on the 21st. 10 days left, a week and a half before we get HellBlade 2. And it seems like the studios that have been closing are studios that have finished making games and are pitching a new game. So in the form of Hi-Fi Rush developers, they were actually going to pitch a sequel to Hi-Fi Rush. And the guys at Arcane Austin, who made Redfall, who were still in the middle of improving the game and making DLC for the game, we're going to actually pitch a new immersive sim game. So this is where I would say Arcane Austin does their best work, which is in the form of games like Prey, like Deathloop, like, you know, like these are all really good games that I've just mentioned. Prey, Deathloop. Just think about that for a moment, that they were going to do another one of those again. Prey is a really, really good game. Just, yeah, I'm scratching my head. I am in bewilderment. And so I can't imagine what the developers of HellBlade 2 are thinking. I am scared for Ninja Theory that they might be closing down. Because after this was announced and all of this information came to be, you want to know what happened? God damn, I'm trying to find the actual link that I had. What effectively ended up happening was that, let's see, so so the day after, they wanted more smaller games. The day after, like, a bunch of developers were actually really, they were letting their voices be heard. That is for sure something that had happened. And so the Arcane Leon, which is an Arcane studio that is still alive as of now, I can't remember if he's the head or director of a game, but Dinga Bakba wrote a tweet that I feel like is probably the most accurate image of what is going on at the moment, which is that this is, okay, so this is what he says. This is terrible. Permission to be human. To any executive reading this, friendly reminder that video games are an entertainment/cultural industry, and your business as a corporation is to take care of your artists and entertainers and help them create value for you. Then you've got, you know, Redfall co-director Harvey Smith, who is now obviously no longer with these guys unless he got moved in because he was part of Arcane Austin after all. I just want to say that I love all the people at Arcane Austin so much. Great times, hard times, we went through so much together. Of course, today's news is terrible for all of us. Your talent will lift you up, and I will do anything I can to help. Very AFK said, it is probably not a good thing so much of the industry is actually defined by the palatability of a P&L where nobody is interested in potential and everybody is interested in risk aversion and short-term gains. In no world does this make any sense. Content is king, which is absolutely true. Content is king. Hi-Fi Rush was a risk. It was a risk that paid off. And then looking at the industry as a whole, there has been this pattern of a bunch of companies only going back to making known franchises. Stuff like, in the case of Xbox, Halo, Gears of War, and, surprisingly enough, I can't believe I'm bringing this up, but Indiana Jones. These are all known IP. Whether or not they're treated as good or not, it's just something that people know, and if people see a name that they know about, that is more likely to attract them. Keeping in mind that Microsoft did profit this year, as Adam Boyes' screenshot here shows, Microsoft posted a 17% increase in revenue to $61.9 billion with a $21.9 billion in profit, up to 20%, and earnings of $2.94 per share, beating Wall Street's expectations across the board for the third quarter of its 2024 fiscal year. And then John Newblood, this is what I was talking about with Hi-Fi Rush earlier, is doesn't matter if you make a game that's a bestseller, award winner, or cult classic, you're getting shut down by corporate sooner or later. In the case with Hi-Fi Rush with Tango Gameworks, with this shutdown, on the bottom right we have here is Prey, which is made by Arcane Austin, which is also being shut down, and then up here we also have Rollerdrome, which was part of Take-Two's studio shutdowns that they were doing at the time as well. I mean, this is just really depressing. Xbox says they want smaller, more award-winning games. They get one, they shut down the studio the following day. During that following day, all of the developers are actually, making their voices heard online through X. And then, as I said earlier, the developers of Hi-Fi Rush and, well, Tango Gameworks and Arcane Austin were pitching new games. And specifically, I actually completely forgot about this. Arcane Austin was apparently going to make a new Dishonored game. Keeping in mind that Dishonored is an award-winning franchise that makes very good games. Dishonored 1 was very good, highly appreciated, originally released on PS3 and Xbox 360. Then Enhanced Edition did release on Xbox One and PS4, to say the least. Dishonored 2 released on PS4 and Xbox One. Bit more of the original, some new additional powers and things thrown in for good measure, and plus you can play as Emily Caldwin, but I'm not going to go into too many details about the game itself. Again, reviewed even better, if not as well as the original. And then we got Death of the Outsider, which is almost like a sort of smaller game within the Dishonored universe. But I digress. All of which have been very well reviewed and highly praised, and did get good financial backing from Bethesda in order to even make these games. But I feel like that's just kind of where development has changed from like 10 years ago till now. Yeah, that this is just really, really sad. Again, I feel really, really bad for the guys making Ninja Theory, the guys making HellBlade, because I just can't imagine what they must be going through at the moment. Yeah, again, everyone is just sort of reporting on this. It's a sucky situation. What can you do? I don't think... And actually, let's jump into the next topic that I had in my mind. I had completely forgotten about this, but now let's talk about Game Pass, because I feel like Game Pass is cannibalizing pretty much the industry and the way we buy and consume games. Because the fact of the matter is that Game Pass has never really made sense from the beginning. How does Xbox actually fund Game Pass? How do they make it possible to be able to add games to Game Pass for however period of time and then remove it after the fact? You know, what constitutes success to Xbox? Because even though Hi-Fi Rush outwardly, Aaron Greenberg did say it was successful on every possible metric, it seemed like internally there was some scuffle going on about it not selling enough, and potentially that's why it was then on ported to PlayStation, for example. Now, I'm going to read this paragraph here because I do want to read it word for word. Microsoft has faced tough questions around the potential cannibalization effect of Game Pass, particularly on games that launch on the service day one. While Xbox executives have insisted sales can be boosted by a game's presence on Game Pass, some publishers remain unconvinced. Unlike Microsoft, console rival Sony does not release its new exclusives straight into its subscription service, and according to The Verge, Microsoft is currently debating whether to release this year's Call of Duty game straight into Game Pass, potentially negatively impacting the sales of the full price mainline release. That is the discussion that is being had. Game Pass is in fact not a success, especially when you go there day one. You are not allowing people to buy your games, and when you announce a game for Xbox, what gamers think immediately is, I won't buy it, I'll wait for it to go on Game Pass. And that might be the most depressing thing of all. I will wait for the games to go on Game Pass. I think Game Pass was a really, really good idea initially, but the way in which it was advertised, the way in which it was shown off, it's now put Xbox gamers in a particular mindset to where I will not buy games anymore. I will only partake in Game Pass. That is all. I think that Xbox Game Pass was a mistake. 100%. I think that trying to create this positive buzz was a good idea initially, but eventually you need to be like, this is how it's like at first, now let's actually turn it into what we need it to be in order for it to be successful. And it seems like the numbers of Game Pass has actually flatlined, and the growth of Game Pass, which was explosive initially because it was a new thing before, is now no longer a thing. Again, it's just depressing. Now, to the most recent updates regarding Xbox, because this has been going on for quite some time and there was a lot to cover, so let's finish this off with an absolute banger. Xbox president Sarah Bond jumps in and says, commitment to make sure that the business is healthy for the long term. In order for a business to serve its customers the best way possible is for the business to not be healthy, for it to be in a troubled position. Xbox has been in a troubled position for years and almost a decade now. And yet they still can't get their act together or do anything right. What's success for each game in each studio is also really unique, yes, but they are all under the Xbox umbrella, so their level of success should be dictated by the level of success from those above. Specifically, Xbox should be having their level of success and then imparting that upon the studios which they own. Now, it was said that the studios have been spread too thin and things like that. Well, if you buy every studio in the world, yes, it is going to be more difficult to keep everyone aligned to similar goals and having similar expectations. Yes, it is true that is going to be the case. That is obvious. Are you missing leadership in certain areas? Then you know what you do? You hire leaders into those positions instead of cutting down on the number of people that are in your company and closing down those studios. It says here, Sarah Bond did say the last year or so in video games, largely the industry has been flat. That's fair. And even with 2023, we saw just some tremendous releases, tremendously groundbreaking games, but still the growth didn't follow all of that. And what that tells me now is that at this point, it's just a matter of, does the line go up? If the line goes up, we're happy. But the line has flatlined here for Xbox. It's sad. It's depressing. I don't know what to say. Aaron Greenberg, I think his statements can easily be used to say that there is a lot of success going on and then immediately shut down studios. The main thing I feel like I want people to take away from all of this is that I still think that Game Pass is just not worth it. In fact, I don't think I've ever really had Game Pass. Even the $1 trial they were giving out before, I never partook in. I think it's fair to say that Game Pass is just a mistake. The second thing is that it's about appeasing investors. Again, the idea of the last thing that I said about the line going up. Now the line is just completely flatlined alongside the fact that there's no more explosive increase in Game Pass anymore. So Game Pass, number one, is a mistake. Number two, line no longer go up. Shareholders need to be appeased. Let's shut down a bunch of studios and lay off a lot of people. Those are, I think, the two main things at the moment. And also probably the third thing, do not trust Xbox's leadership. And also, you know what, fourth thing, I also feel bad for the HellBlade developers, because they may very well shut down. There are actually more shutdowns coming. There are more people that are going to be let go. Xbox has said there is more to come. I am tired. I am sleepy. What the heck is going on with Xbox? What the hell is wrong with them? I just don't get it. And the fact that they got rid of one of my personal favorite studios of recent memory, Tango Gameworks, is now gone. We will not be getting any more Evil Withins. We will not be getting any more Hi-Fi Rush. We will not be getting any more Ghostwire. It's all gone. Simple as that. But with all that said and done, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. This is one of the longest videos that I've made about news in quite some time, and it is because it is a absolutely massive story. I am currently losing breath at the moment talking about this. I can't think if it's disappointment, with anger, with whatever. I just can't seem to figure for the love of God what it is. But this is a long video, and I do want people to kind of, sit down and watch it, because I feel like the most important stuff I've kind of really tackled at the end. But yeah, yeah. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I may move to 200 subs by the end of the year. And with all that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.